Yes guys, so today I'm going to go through a leg day, and that's going to be 5 different exercises. You've got the leg extension, the hat squat, the leg press, split squats and adductors. That's going to be pretty gnarly. So I'm going to walk you through it and go through the exact workout I tend to do for myself and give you some coaching cues and a lot of value with this exercise, so I hope you enjoy it. So first one, what we're going to do is a leg extension, 2 sets. Going towards failure, so that's going to be gnarly. Normally when you do an exercise, I normally tend to get a bit of a feeler, so what we tend to do is drop the weight completely down if you need to, get used to the exercise. We're not exhausting ourselves here, we're just getting in tune with the exercise. So this could be like 2 sets, this could be 3 sets. Before an exercise, I always recommend like do a few feeler sets, get a feel of the movement, then go towards your top sets, so the ones you actually push in intensity, and that's going to be how it works. So if you've got 2 sets, that's excluding warm-up sets, and that's usually how you normally treat it. So we've got 2 sets of 8 to 12 plus, and we'll obviously go from there. So you usually can do that before you get into the sets. Find your working weight, and obviously you can be like, right, go do a few warm-up sets up until that working weight. So my working weight is going to be about 70 kilograms. So what I might do is do a 20 or 30, do a 3-4 set reps there, go into a 50, 3-4 reps. Kind of get a feel up until that, so you're feeding up to that top weight, and that's usually how I recommend warming up. You can just, anything that's going to get some blood flowing to the muscles and get you a feel of the exercise is going to be a productive warm-up. So we're going to do 2 sets. 72 kilograms, that's going to be pretty fun, and probably even increase the next set if we need to, based on how this one goes. So like normally between sets, I always get a question like, how long should I rest between sets? There's no exact number, however, there's too much or there's too little. So I always say rest as long as you need to give it absolutely everything. I don't really measure rest periods for myself anymore, however I recommend for clients at the starting phase, that could be 90 seconds. You still want to be under recovered and rest in 30 seconds because your intensity is going to drop. So I would normally go like 2 minutes sometimes, depending on the exercise. Just rest as long as you need to give it absolutely everything, set to set, and you're going to get to train so much more at your training rather than be under recovered and just doing 30-second rest periods, or spending 5 minutes on TikTok and do like 10 minutes in terms of rest periods. So as long as you need to make sure you can give it absolutely everything. And normally with this exercise, what you want to do is where you strap in, like the last thing you want to do is have your hips lifted up and your knees to be about fist distance apart. And that's usually I recommend the exercise. Bring it up, have it where you're kind of having that towards your shins, and then obviously drive at the top and then control the negative in the bottom. Easy. So second exercise we've got is a hat squat, which is going to be 2 sets, one 6 to 8 and one 14 to 18, which is going to be gnarly. So normally you're going to do 2 sets of intensity, that doesn't mean you want one to that. So what I normally do, like you mentioned, get a few feeler sets, body weight, get a few plates on, and work up to something that's going to be heavy for 6 to 8, and that's going to be how we normally start with the hat squat. With this one, legs outside your shoulders, and the biggest thing I could say is just drive your knees out. Drive your knees out. I like thinking about it as if you're thinking, bring your weight onto the side of your foot. So you're thinking about driving your knees out, weight into the side of your foot, keep upright torso, lower back in contact with that, and just drive using your full body. So I'll do a bit of body weight to kind of demonstrate. So Robbie's actually got my good side. He was recording from there, now he's got this side. So thanks for that. Yeah, so normally is get a feel of the exercise. If you know that's too easy, stop there, add some weight on, and bring the intensity to the roof. So usually it's like kind of find your working sets of what's going to be a hard set for you, rather than doing 5 sets of however many reps in training half intensity. I'd rather you do 2 and go all in. So if you can master doing it less but doing it even better, rather than doing it more and doing it worse, that's the sweet spot with training volume, and there is the optimal position you want to get to, and that's usually it. So that's going to be like go all in 2 sets rather than spread intensity wide over 5 sets. I always prefer that. I know I've got a few more, but see, that's what I mean. Wanted to get 8 reps, but it's like, even though it says 8 to 12 and you can get 12, if you can get more, just keep on going, because you don't really want to cap yourself. So when it comes to the 12, any exercise, leg press, tricep extension, Romanian deadlift, if it says 8 to 12, see as 8 plus. 8's the minimum, maximum is when you go towards failure. And failure is defined differently. Usually whenever form breaks down, set is over. If the exercise looks completely different by the end of it, and our last rep is different to our first rep, set's over, it's a different exercise, let's call it a set. Obviously, that got me with that, but usually that's the best way to identify failure. That's what I mean, like rest periods, it's like, there's never a limit, is there? You just rest as long as you need to. Obviously there's a limit in too much and too little, but between that, as long as you need to, being 4 minutes and it's totally fine, you train hard. So. This is probably the hardest exercise in the gym, putting your weights back. So yeah, so like always, getting used to the exercise first. See how the weight goes at 2-3 reps. Go on then, for the YouTube, go higher. It's going to be heavy, but let's do it. So normally with the rear foot elevated split squat, a lot of people struggle with balance. What you want to do, you're better off start with your legs right next to the bench, 2 foot forward, 1 step in front of the other, and elevate the back leg onto the bench, keep your legs faces down. After you've done that, make sure this leg isn't narrow, because that's going to provide instability. Take a step out, outside your hip, and think about driving your knees out whilst lowering the back knee to the floor, and also forces forward. So really think about outside your hip, back legs completely flat, drive down, drive your knees out, explode through the front leg. We're going to do 2 sets of 8, 8 plus, meaning if we can get more than 8, doesn't mean we stop there, we keep on going towards where the technique breaks down, the set's over generally. So that's a rule of thumb you want to go towards when it comes to training towards failure. So what I like to recommend as well between sets, especially with rear foot elevated split squats or single leg movements, you're probably going to be using both legs. Back leg for stability, front leg for strength. Normally have a bit of breather between legs, so rather than go one to the other, do one 30, 45 seconds, jump one to the other, then take a longer rest period. But yeah, usually when you do the Bulgarian split squats, even though you're working one leg at a time, you do see a lot of utility of resting between legs. So if you do one leg, however many reps it is, 30, 45 seconds between legs, then jump onto the other, that's a good way to do it. Just because you are going to be working both legs, back leg for stability, front leg for strength. Then what I like to do the next set is the leg you finished off with, start with that one first. Just so you can see if there's a difference. If you've got a stronger leg, do that one second. But the best way to find that is kind of rotate the legs you're using so you can see what the difference is. And last exercise to finish off with is the adductors. Usually people get mixed in between abductors and adductors. Think about adding in means coming in, abducting means coming out. So that's the best way to remember it. This is something not many people do, guys in particular. They try and train the quads, but this part here, if you just train your quads, it's going to be stick thin. You really want to get the inner thighs and get those bigger quads and tree trunk legs. That's what you're after. Most people come with the ultimate goal of getting lean and being able to eat more food, so they want both. However, if your training is 15 minutes or circuit classes or spin classes, or you do 15-minute abs, you're not going to be able to get that. And in fact, if you want to get into a position where you eat more food and you're leaner and you stay lean year round, training intensity could be the biggest thing. So you obviously saw today 4 or 5 exercises, nil intensity. Your training should be progressive in nature and it should be getting you stronger week in, week out, year in, year out. And that's going to allow you to essentially eat more food and be leaner year round and have more muscle. A bit of a life hack for you. So